Checklist usage. We got to harp on checklist over and over and over and over through training. People don't want to use the checklist. You got to use the checklist for startup, shut down. You'll forget something if you don't, and it could be dangerous. Checking questions. Oh, still the question on rotor and fixed wing. All right, so no questions that I can see there. Nothing new popped up. So we're doing the video chapters. There's currently I just cut the version of the book down a little bit because it was a little bit long. I'm getting ready to cut it down again and turn it into a couple of different books. But for right now, we are at 18 chapters. I have videos on the first 14 chapters. I think I might have the others, but I don't know if I ever got them uploaded to YouTube there inside Ground School. So this is my Amazon bestseller helicopter check ride. I'm really proud of it. You can get it on Amazon. You just search Amazon helicopter check ride on Amazon. You get the digital copy for 99 cents. We do free giveaways occasionally when Amazon allows us to. You can get the paperback version on Amazon as well. So that was check ride failures. Now we're going to go to checklist usage. This should be a short one. So we're going to roll that, and I will be back. And we'll take some more questions. Everybody has any more questions? So we'll see you after the next video. Tell me about checklist usage and what you know, what you do, what you've seen, and what's important about it.
First of all, it's very important to use a checklist for everything, especially for going through doing your pre-inspection. You could miss something without checking your checklist. That could be broken or something that could make the helicopter unworthy. So using the checklist, and sometimes it gets redundant when you continue to use the checklist from front to back. So after a while, you might want to switch it up, start it in the middle, go to one side, and then go back and start to the other side, or start it reverse. Just change it up a little bit to keep it going and keep everything fresh and different. That's for doing an inspection. And then you got the startup and shutdown, which is important too, because you might skip a step in that, and you might make damage to the helicopter or damage to the engine or some sort. So always use your checklist. They're there. That's why they're there. There's no need not to use them. They're there. Use them.
Okay. Be honest. How many times have you skipped the checklist on a pre-flight, number one?
Probably. I don't think I've ever have. That's the first thing I do is go in and grab it.
All right, good boy.
Because they're right next to each other.
How many times have you done a startup without the checklist?
Never. I always grab it. Yeah, I always grab it. Just to have it. I mean, I know it, especially the shutdown, but you always have it in your hand.
Okay.
You always go through it.
How many pilots have you flown with in helicopters specifically that don't use it at all or skip it part of the time? Or what's your experience with other pilots that you've seen, or airplanes too? What's your experience?
Well, in our situation at our airport, the fuel dock is farther away, and they don't have any fuel tanks or anything to bring the fuel to the helicopter or where the hangar is.
Right.
So after the lesson, we usually go over, shut it down, get fuel, and then at that point, we would start it back up and just taxi it back around to the hangar. So that's when it gets really lax. We just start it up, you don't do any of your checks or anything, and you just taxi back. And I see people in that situation just getting it back,
Right. Do you think that's appropriate?
Probably not. I mean, anything could happen.
Yeah.
I mean, even though you're 5-10 feet off the ground and you're just taxiing, but still something could happen.
Okay.
And I think that's kind of like get back-itis, just get it back, no big deal. You're not going to be up high and you're just taxiing it.
My take on this is I'm amazed at the amount of people that don't use them, skip them. Have I ever skipped a checklist? Yes, I have. Have I ever skipped it on a pre-flight? Yep. Have I ever skipped it on a startup? Yep. Do I do it in general? No. You know, I've had those times where I've gotten laxed and then gotten bit by it because I didn't do it properly and I tried skipping. And I've done it in a simple aircraft and I've done it in the more complex aircraft. You know, I was very by the book for a long time, and then, you know, you get 500 hours, 1,000 hours in a certain aircraft, and yeah, it's redundant. And I can tell you that when you decide to do it without the checklist, it can be one simple switch as a, you know, boost pump. And even though the light's on, you don't see the lights on. You did a pre-takeoff check, and you didn't catch that boost pump was not on. Every time I've really tried to do it, I've forgotten something. I've never had anything bad happen. I will forget something almost every single time. So I've been through the cycle of being really good, and then I've played the game of getting a little laxed, and then I've learned my lessons over doing stupid stuff, and now I'm back to use the checklist every single time. And in the real world, in the training world, I see people do it all the time, and I'll give you the example in the EMS world. You know, professional pilots. They told us, guys, when you go back to your base, when you're out pre-flight in the helicopter, there'll be a time where someone from our company will be in the parking lot, or they'll be in the office if you're inside a hangar. At some point, you will be observed pre-flighting the aircraft. And if you do not have your checklist in your hand, you will be told to go home. And they said, we don't care when you're climbing up on the top to get up and check the rotor head. That checklist needs to be in your hand. When you fall down to the ground, you better be holding that checklist.
Are you struggling with all the information there is to know to become a helicopter pilot? Discover the #1 helicopter training system on the web. Now you can attend helicopter online ground school from the comfort of your own home, at your own pace, 24 hours a day. Experienced, certified, and passionate. Let Captain Keller guide your online instruction to help you succeed in obtaining your helicopter pilot's license. Only at Helicopter Online Ground School.